5,000, a 6,000, and a bottle of blade oil for around $100. And I'm really not making any money on that, but I like people to learn how to sharpen. And the thing about sharpening is once you acquire the skill, you can do it with whatever you have. I was telling you earlier, I always touch up my knives on newspaper. Newspaper, you ever hear somebody say don't cut cardboard with your knife, it will dull it? That's because newspaper's got tiny shreds of clay and stuff in it. What's in this box? I don't like to use colored paper. So I'll use something like this.
Newspaper right there.
There's different grades. There's different grades of newspaper. You got your rough, your coarse, and your fine. Jack, can I carve my initials on your table?
No. Sure you can. I don't need it. That's Dorothy though. Before you do it.
So I'll give her some.
So how sharp is that knife at the moment?
Oh, this is. It's fairly sharp. It's not. I don't consider that sharp, but it's.
I can still pull the
decent.
edge on it. Yeah. Sure.
This one here, let's see. It's not quite shaving. So, if I just, like, when your knife gets bad, if you just take it to some newspaper and strop it, you call it, what's considered stropping is anytime you're going away from the blade, like this. And once I've established an edge, I'll never go back in towards the edge. And that's like totally the opposite of what you'll ever see anybody else do. Most people, they always cut towards the edge. But essentially, to sharpen a knife, you want to do the exact opposite of what dulls it. And cutting dulls a knife. Going away from the edge, holding the proper angle, you're going to sharpen it. You're going to establish your edge. So, and essentially what you have when you're dull a knife is you've got a burr on that knife. It's a fine edge, and you've either folded it over or you've broken it off. So a lot of times your knife has lost its edge. You can bring that edge back. So if you got a sharpening steel, that's a good way to bring that edge back straight and true. And essentially, I think it was said, if you double your cutting surface, so if your edge is like whatever, 1 micron or whatever it is, and you go to 2 micron, you now take 4 times the strength to cut with as half the width of that cutting edge. So it is unbelievable the difference in pressure it takes, because it quadruples every time you double. It quadruples the strength that it takes to cut with. So that being said, you can imagine, especially in an edge, is when you've got a sharp edge, you've got essentially almost no surface you're cutting with, and then as you bend that edge over, you're doubling, you're quadrupling, and it takes a lot more force to sharpen it, or to use that knife. So this wasn't really coming back on that paper real well, so I'll just hit it a couple times on the 6,000. You can see that black line. That's just steel coming off my edge, and you can use that to see what you're doing. I'll use the tip here, and you can see right where you're removing steel. At any point in time, I'm only moving steel from this edge at one spot. And if you want a sharp tip, you don't want that black line coming from your tip. You want it coming from just right behind. You want to move the steel from right behind the tip of the blade. And that will give you a thumbtack edge, a point. And that's really useful if you want to dig out a splinter or something like that. It's good to have a real sharp puncture, anything, a bag. You want that thumbtack edge on the tip of your knife. Now this knife I've been using and I'm using, as you can see, that tip, you know, it's a little bit, but I could put a tip on this, an edge on this, that you can. It's just crazy. He'll dig out anything. But I've got a lot of knives. If you want a knife sharpened, I suggest you get it out now because the last time I was here, people are like pulling out stuff for everywhere. So what we'll do is we'll start a line over here, and these are Jack's knives. So I'm gonna get them done, and then we'll just line them up on the table, and then we'll go from there.
Patrick, do you have any advice for, or is there anything different you would do with cold